Let's see, Jerome is talking about last week. Jerome says, thanks for sharing your story and for sharing a lot of tips too. So he's talking about the AMA last week. By the way, are your Q&As recorded? Yes, obviously. Every Thursday they go up on the channel. Or if I do a YouTube live at the same time, like right here, right now, they're on YouTube right away. I'd like to know how you manage your time with details when it comes to your busy schedule. With details when it pertains to business and just an overall peak of family/hobbies/blocks, the real stuff. If it's 30 hours a week or 80, if it varies, if it's really fixed. Not any theory. What's your ideal week look like too? Show us the real stuff. I want to model a few people and you're one of them for sure. Hence why I've purchased everything from you. Okay, so peek inside some of the real stuff, not theory. All right, cool. Not a problem. So for me, I'll share with you guys like what my ideal week is like, and I'll be 100% honest. It's my ideal week. It doesn't happen every day. I try to be super disciplined with this. And sometimes things pop up, and I'll give you guys some examples of things pop up and how I handle them. And I'll tell you guys where I say no and kind of how I say no as well. So Jerome, good question, man. So as it sits, let's see. Trying to find the where the camera sees the screen and doesn't see the screen. So like here to, all right, so like here. All right, so let's say Monday, Tuesday, and this is gonna be sloppy, I'm sorry. Wednesday, Thursday. So I'm not gonna draw in Friday. And the reason is I am working really, really hard. Just stepped on my rechargeable batteries. I'm working really, really hard to take 1 day off per week. And I was thinking about it this morning actually, and I think Friday is gonna be the day. I actually wanted to do Monday, but that's not quite working. So what I've planned is basically Monday through Thursday. And so for me, I know, and you guys should know too, if you guys have been on these AMAs as of late. Last week we talked about like chunking things out and the calendar, and that you gotta take care of the things that are most important to you. And those are the things that need to go in your calendar first. So at the end of the day, for me, let's see how far down this goes. All right, so for me, I have basically a 4 p.m. hard stop. Okay, 4 p.m. hard stop. So the only time that things go past 4 p.m., okay, is Wednesdays, potentially, on the AMA, right? So this runs from 3 to 4 Eastern, okay? And so my latest day typically, right, is Wednesday. So this is important to me because this is when I spend time with my family. So my kids just got out of school, both of them, Silas and Parker. So now it's even more important that I'm home, because when I get home, my wife's been with the kids all day long and needs a break, right? And I want to get in my family time. For me, at the end of the day, that is the most important thing. So in the morning is when I work out. And this changes a little bit. This is going to change a little bit with summer. But the most important thing is every morning is working out and the sauna and then cryo. So working out, the sauna, infrared sauna, and then cryotherapy. So this happens on good weeks, right? I'm sharing with you guys the good weeks. This happens every single day, right? And for me, it's uber important that the working out and the sauna and the cryo happens. And the reason that it's so important is because this sets up my day. Okay, this is the most important to my mood and how I feel. If I work out, right? If I work out, I sat in the sauna and I cryoed, I feel amazing. And one of the things to note in here is that during this time, this is also my education time. So for me, guys, I'm a lifelong learner. A lifelong learner. Okay? I am always in the mode of learning. I am always in the mode of investing in myself. And so my education time, my learning time happens as well during this same session. So while I'm working out, while I'm in the sauna, while I do cryo, during that block, that time block is when I go through my education. And guys, this really ranges from like 90 minutes to 120 minutes, depending on what I have going on. Okay, I can crunch it down to 90, but it can go up to 2 hours. And so typically this happens in the morning. During school, when my kids were at school, I needed to be back and showered, and I like to take my kids to school. It's one of the things that like I've made the commitment, so to speak, to do, at least my oldest. And so this had to be done by like 7:30. And so I would go work out at 5, for example, to be back in time. Okay, so I could do everything in 2 hours, right? And then I'd be back home. So this is the most important time for me throughout the entire day. So then filling out the rest of the blocks in the calendar, so to speak. So Wednesday at 4, I have the AMA. I also have blocked off Wednesdays to be like my training day. So AMA is here. For those of you guys inside of the Agency Growth Vortex Pro membership, this is also right now where we have our weekly calls, okay? So I do a call right now, and these are just starting up here, but the AGV Pro calls happen. I think they happen, 12 to 1 p.m. is basically when these happen. Okay? And then Tuesdays from 2 to 4 or 2 to 3. And also Thursdays from 2 to 4 are always blocked out for promotions. So guys, at the end of the day, the thing that drives my info marketing training software companies, right, is promotions, primarily through joint venture partners. And internally, my own list, AKA you guys, and us running promos. So from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern is on Tuesday or Thursday, is where 90% of the time I run a promo. Okay, so if I'm gonna run a promo for the week, you can know it's gonna be like one of those 2 times typically. Then at 10:30, so let's actually start up a little bit further. So at 9 a.m. is when I'm in the office by. And here I do basically my forum check-in. So this is my one-on-one. I'm just gonna put forum check-in FCI. So this is my one-on-one with people inside of my mastermind. So inside of the mastermind, you get access to like quite literally hundreds of hours of trainings. Without a doubt, definitely some of the best content that I've ever done. And I mean, there's just like system and process after system and scripts and all that right in there. But because there's so much and because we've gotten it requested so often, this is also the only place really that I do any scalable one-on-one sessions. So from 9 to 9:30 or 10 every day, I'm running these check-ins. And these check-ins are with the active members inside of the membership that are asking me for help. Joe, I did this. What do you think is the next step? I think the next step is this or that, right? And this is where right now I'm really doing the most of my coaching, at least on that kind of one-on-one spectrum. If you're running an agency business, this is probably where I would put the agency business right now. So then 10 a.m. To roughly 10:30, or let's just say from 10 to 11 a.m. Are my stand-up meetings. And these happen every day. And for me, guys, a stand-up meeting is me corralling the troops and me helping my troops and helping my team. Okay, so what did you do yesterday? What problems did you run into? What do you need help from me from or somebody else on the team from, right? And then what are your priorities for, today? And do you need anything? Is there anything inhibiting you or stopping you from doing that today? It's kind of the agenda or the outline that we follow, so to speak. And the goal is to really take 2 to 3 minutes just per person. And it helps everybody on the team really be organized for the day. And it also helps me have peace of mind that I know what's happening, right? It's my opportunity to reflect and give feedback for everybody too. Like, hey, I saw this one out yesterday. Do you think maybe we should do this instead? Or have you thought about this? And I'll oftentimes say like, yeah, Joe, we tested that last week. It didn't work as well, but that's why we're doing it this way. But it's my opportunity to be caught up with everybody else on the team and understand what's happening. So, trying to think of any other big blocks that you guys should know about. So, education, workout, sauna, cryo, forum check-in, stand-up meetings. Mondays we have a call. Mondays at 3. I think it's at 3 for agency growth vortex members on basic and pro members. And this is like ask me anything type of call, so to speak, as well as like new developments inside of the program that we run. Okay, so you guys can see that basically at the end of the day, really from like 12 to 2 here, you guys can see like I've mapped out my entire day except for a couple time blocks, right? You guys can see that it's basically full. So these are the most important things that I do in my business to keep my business on track, to keep the business moving forward. And then basically, this has me deep in some type of creation at, 1 to 2 times per day, right? I'll get an hour to 2 hour block, right? For me to go create something, for me to build something. How many of you guys would like me to take you guys through the exercise of how I figure out what to do in the gaps? How many of you guys would like me to take you through a quick exercise, right? Because you guys can see that like most of my day is already full. Most of my week is already full, right? Like my commitments have been made. My calendar is busy, right? So really the only thing that I have to think about on a daily basis is just executing what's on the calendar. But then there's a more practical thing that I have to go through all the time, and that's like what's going to get my priority. Please do. All right, good stuff. So that's the tricky thing, right? The prioritization is the tricky thing. Understand, guys, that this has already taken into account all the most important things in my life, right? Friday's gone, that's a family day, right? The morning is gone, and by the time I'm done with the gym, I'm able to wake my kids up and hang out with them for a little bit, right? See them in the morning, so I'm not just gone right away in the morning. I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to have some time there with my kids. And by 4, I'm out every day, and a lot of times by 3 o'clock, I'm out. And then obviously I have the whole day Friday off. So I've already taken into account my biggest priorities, right? Like the things that matter to me most in life, like my family, working out, my Wednesday AMAs with you guys, my promotions Tuesdays and Thursdays, my supporting webinars for Agency Growth Vortex, right? My time to check in and work, one-on-one with people inside of the mastermind. Like those are my big time commitments. Those are the big chunks. Those are the things that I've agreed to, and that are going to happen week in and week out. For you guys, if you're running a traditional agency business, so to speak, if I were you, I would block out time to check on fulfillment, right? I would block out working out. I would block out the days and the times that you're going to work, and figure out your schedule, right? What days are you going to have monthly meetings with clients? What days are you going to check in on fulfillment? And folks, at the end of the day, the rest of your schedule should really be blocks of consults or strategy sessions for you to sell other people, right? For you to bring people into your business. So the way that I decide priorities for everything else is really, folks, at the end of the day is really important. Understand at the end of the day, I say no to a lot of things now. And the reason that I say no is because I have to. I have to be disciplined, right? And I have to be crazy about my calendar. Very quickly, everything slides for the day, and I'm 10 minutes late to this, I'm 30 minutes late to this. By the end of the day, I'm 2 hours late, and now I'm at the office until 6, right? And that's not how my schedule rolls. That's not what I'm supposed to do, right? The most important thing in my life is my family, and now I'm late to see them. So, and to be with them and for that time. So, at the end of the day, everything that comes up now, most things I have to say no to. And frankly, at first, this makes you feel bad. But you got to understand that you have priorities. And if something is taking priority over your calendar that you have like laid out and put all this time and effort into, you're saying that one thing that just came up is more important than everything else that's in the calendar. Like that's a problem, right? Like that's an issue. So for me, when things come up, there's a 90% chance that I'm saying no, unless it is life-threatening, product-threatening, it is a freaking emergency, right? If I can't take credit card payments, if my bank is giving me problems, right? Like, unless it is a huge fire, there's a 90% chance that I'm saying, no, I can't do it, and I'm just okay with it, right? I don't care what the repercussions are, right? And you guys, like, you have to have that discipline. But, so when things crop up and they just come out of nowhere, 9 times out of 10, I'm just saying no. Nope, sorry. Nope, sorry. But I still have gaps. I keep turning to look at the calendar I just erased. But I still have gaps in the calendar. So essentially what I'm doing is weekly or bi-monthly, I'm looking at my business, right? And I'm looking at my business as individual systems and processes, okay? And I'm looking at the health of those systems and processes, okay? I'm looking at KPIs. I'm looking at outbound prospecting. I'm looking at how many strategy sessions are we doing. I'm looking at how many people just signed up for the webinar. What was our close rate on the last webinar, right? I'm looking at all the KPIs in our business, and I'm looking at the vital signs. Okay? And those then are the things that I consider doing. When I find a problem, when I find something that has really low vital signs, when I find a problem that seems like the whole department is dead or the system's just not running or working, right? Those are than things I consider working on. Okay, so I essentially kind of look at all the pieces and all the systems from a very 500-foot view of them, like I'm looking down on them, right? And then I'm figuring out what are the potential things that I'm going to work on. Okay, and I'll just make a list of the potentials. Okay, so if support desk gets a questions or gets 10 questions stating that their membership email when somebody purchases is going to spam, right? And they don't know how to fix it, that's going to come up for me as a list of potential things that I'm going to look at for the week, right? When I look at, every week I'm doing this promotion and the conversion rate and the number of customers I'm getting just flatlined, that's going to be a list of potential things that I'm going to focus on. It'll be on that list, right? So I'm going to look at all the KPIs. When I see, for example, for support that, the average response time is like 2 hours, I'm like, nope, that's good. Like, that's great. Most people take 3, 4 days, 7 days, 10 days, right, to get back with people, right? Then I leave that. That's fine, right? That doesn't need to be improved. Okay, so I take kind of a high-level view of what's happening. But then once I have this list of potentials, I really want to take that list of potentials and I need to come up with a valuation right, of the impact that item or each of those items is going to have on my business. Because as a business owner, we have to freaking do everything, right? Like I just got an email and it's like, your merchant account hasn't passed its PCI compliance scan for this year. You're gonna get fined $250. Guys, I'm PCI compliant. I use a third-party shopping cart that thousands of other people use. It's PCI compliant, and I can take 6, 8, 10 hours and go through that process to get it PCI compliant. But what's the valuation of that task? I just told you guys, it's $250. Would I be better off working on this, or would I be better off focusing on my outbound email campaign? Just took a shit, right? And it's been bringing me 3 customer bookings a day for consults and strategy sessions, and now it's only doing 1. Which one is a bigger opportunity? Which one do you guys think I'm going to focus on? Right? The answer is obvious, right? Or it should be. Okay, just because at the end of the day, somebody says that you or your business need to do something doesn't mean that you have to do it now. Okay? Understand that everything has a valuation and everything has ramifications with it. That's fine. Understand what's at stake. Okay? So what I like to do is create a valuation of each opportunity. Okay? So essentially, I create the valuation, and I like to think about the valuation like this, all right? So out of a scale of 1 to 10, okay, how important is it? So how important is it? Next is, how important is it now? Okay, then flat out, guys, just what's the value of the problem or the opportunity, right? Because guys, that's how I think about issues, is really they're problems, right? But they're opportunities. If I fix them, what happens? I gave you guys the example of the PCI compliance. If I fix that, it's $250. Like, that's not a big problem. I should be focusing on bringing in a customer, right? That's going to pay me $1,000, $2,000 a month, and I'm going to take home 90% of that, right? I'd much rather focus on that than being PCI compliant. Okay, so how important is it, 1 to 10? How important is it that I do it now? What's the value? And then what happens if I don't do it? Right? What happens if I don't do it? And this one isn't a 1 to 10. This is just a place for me to write out an explanation. And by me actually going through each and every one of these things, I can take things like the PCI compliant, and it's like, this is a 10. How important is it that it happens now? 1. What's the value of this? $250, right? No value, that's a freaking 1. What happens if I don't do it? $250. And am I gonna lose my merchant account? No, they're just gonna keep billing me $250 a year. This problem that I once thought was hugely important, I should quite literally give no shits about. Okay? So this is how, right, I figure out what I'm going to focus on in my business. Okay, this is exactly how. Okay, essentially by, at the end of the day, just valuating each of the tasks, and I use this 4-point system to really valuate the tasks. Okay? The other thing that I do then, and that I would highly recommend, is I loosely use the Pomodoro effect, okay, or the Pomodoro method. And basically what that is for a set amount of time, you remain hyper-focused, only concentrating on the one thing that you're doing. Meaning you get a sales call, it's not on your calendar, you ignore it, right? You get a call from your wife like I just did, and you're on a webinar, you ignore it. Sorry, honey. Right? Somebody in your team is asking you something and you're in the middle of another task, you ignore it. Right? Like you only concentrate on that task. You don't let yourself get distracted. And typically my windows are 20 to 30 minutes long. So if I only have a 30-minute block to do something and then I got another commitment, I will quite literally collapse. You know, I won't just go 20 minutes like the Pomodoro method talks about. I'll go 30 minutes, right? Because I know that's all the time that I have. So that's why I say I loosely follow it. So then I take what's important, I figure out the gaps in my calendar, and I prioritize these. Okay, and then I hit the Pomodoro method timer. Let's go. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, max 40 minutes, depending on the task. I know some tasks, I know some activities that I can work on where I can get into a really, really good flow for 40 minutes, and some tasks that like I need a longer set of time in order for me to actually be able to get the task done. I know that if I only work on it for 20 minutes at a time, it's gonna take me a lot longer. So for example, writing VSLs, writing cold emails, writing webinars, all those things, they take me a long time. Right? You guys might think that they just like pop out of my head like magic. They don't, right? Those take me 40-minute, hour blocks and multiples of those in a day for me to really nail that to the wall. So hope that was helpful.